and welcome back. I'm Bandish, the founder of The Curious Mindset, a private community for technology leadership teams powered by 64 Tech, an IT solutions provider of hardware, cloud, and IT services. Although we're powered by 64 Tech, our core principle is to always give more than we take. Rest assured, you won't be bombarded with sales pitches. Please do follow our dedicated LinkedIn page to stay updated on how 64 Tech can assist you with any technology challenges that you may face, or if you're looking to shake things up with your current IT suppliers. While 64 Tech provides technology solutions, some of the biggest challenges tech leaders face are human challenges, not technical. As leaders, there's often pressure to appear all-knowing, which makes it hard to admit what we don't know or ask questions that allow us to be vulnerable. The Curious Mindset was created to help us build the essential people and leadership skills we didn't know we needed. This community grew out of my own experience and desire to help others overcome the challenges that I faced when I became a leader. I know firsthand how isolating leadership can be, and our North Star here is that no one leads alone. At 64 Tech, the mantra is together we grow, and the Curious Mindset is how we can make that happen. This is a space for us to learn, to share, and to become more confident as technology leaders. Now, before I hand over, I just want to say what a privilege it was to be a guest in our own community. What you all probably don't know is that I stepped into that role quite reluctantly. And after four to 5 years of this journey, the time felt right for me to share the origin story. But I'm incredibly grateful to our team for giving me the push that I needed. The feedback has been unbelievable. And I just want to say thank you to everyone who reached out with all the kind words, especially Charlotte. I don't know if she's in the room today. I'm not sure anybody's ever said we'd like to see more of Bandish, but here we are. And I also want to thank our amazing team for creating the new video that we have that shows our mission to help technology leaders become the best versions of themselves. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our host, Andy McMenemy, and our technology leader co-host, Steve Maxwell, for our first kickoff session of 2025.
Absolutely privileged to be here again with you. And Banish, thank you so much for your session in December. It was a wonderful way of ending off the year. But not only to hear from you, Banish, but also to hear from, the clients that have bought technology from 64 Tech, and to hear their lovely stories about your origin, how you guys got together, and how they've thrived as being part of the community. So it was an absolutely lovely way to end the year. And it's my delight and my pleasure, guys, to help you start the year. We've talked about this phrase of let's come alive in 25, but not let's just come alive. Let's thrive in 25. And thanks to 64 Tech, here we are again, being wonderfully supported by them as they plow all of their marketing money into supporting this community, the Curious Mindset. I've absolutely loved being part of it, and the future looks so exciting. I can't wait to get the year kicked off with the speakers that we've got coming down the pipeline towards you. So as you know from the material we've released on today, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 Ps of success. And I'm going to do that in the form of some slides I'm going to share with you. But this is for you to spend some time thinking about you and what you want to take out of the year ahead of you. So I'm going to just share my slides now as I drop into the PowerPoint presentation. Hopefully you can all see that. So we talked about the 3 Ps of success, and the first one is going to be your purpose. As a tech leader, what is your purpose for yourself for the year ahead? What does it look like to be standing at the end of this year, looking back over your shoulder and realizing what you've achieved? But you can't get to that position unless you set out with intention. And I know from all of the coaching and mentoring work that I do, and even in the therapy realm, that intention is the thing that often gets forgotten, missed. There's not enough focus on what am I intending to achieve. And so I'd ask you each individually to consider, what is your purpose for the year ahead? As a tech leader, leading your teams, as an individual with your own life to manage, what's your purpose? And if you haven't already defined it, I would absolutely encourage you to define your statement of purpose. What does your statement say about you and about your potential and about your journey through the year ahead? Or if you work with a longer plan of a 2-year, 5-year career plan, personal plan, what's your statement of purpose? And here's why it's important. A personal statement of purpose is exactly that. It's a deeply held value that you're going to live by. And we'll talk a little bit about values later on. But here's why it's important. Having a purpose aligned with a clearly defined understanding of what your passion is, and that also being supported by your level of persistence to achieve your purpose, is exactly what the 3 Ps are. And here's why a statement of purpose is important. And I'd really ask you to consider this. Make some notes. This will all be available for you anyway, but make some notes as you're going through. Because you can't go to a destination you don't set, and you can't hit a target you can't see. So standing at the very start of the year, looking forward, where do you want to be at the end of the year? What's your target? What's your destination? For you as an individual, in your role in the business, and for you in your own life, how are you going to define your purpose statement? Because you can't go to a destination you can't set, and you can't hit a target you don't see. And your statement of purpose will tell you where you're going, what you're going to be doing, and who you'll be doing it with along the way, which members of the team you're going to engage, which member of the team you might want to disengage. But it focuses your mind on your process. And you'll know from the sessions we've done before with some of the most amazing speakers that when you control the process, you control the outcome. And if you're setting off into the year without a clearly defined purpose or even a process to support it, it's stacking the odds against yourself of success. So having a clearly defined statement of purpose focuses your mind on your process, and it keeps you from wasting time and energy on unimportant issues that don't matter. And it stops you fighting battles that don't need to be fought because you're clearly aligned in a direction which is taking you where you want to go. So think about your purpose. Think about trying to craft it into a statement, a mantra, if you like, anything that you can keep in the forefront of your mind that keeps you on your mental sat nav in the direction you want to be. Because we're already halfway through January. And it's quite interesting that, time is slipping by pretty quickly. And I'm sure there's people that have set out already with intentions at the beginning of the year and they haven't stuck to them. Some of them haven't even started them. And you know what happens in the gyms? The gym membership rockets in January and it dies a death in February because people don't sustain it. And because they haven't made an emotional connection to the reason why. And when you craft a statement of purpose that is particular to you, personal to you, then you buy into that because it carries a value. So there are 4 R's in purpose, and you might have heard me speaking about these before. But this is what I'd like you to consider as you craft your statement of purpose. What is my intent for the year? What's my intent for the first quarter if you're narrowing it down to that level? If you're looking at your personal goals, what's my 30-day goal? These are the 4 R's that are going to help you achieve that. But thinking, as we said before, I'd like you to cast your mind to the end of the year and imagine you're looking back over the year. These are the 4 R's I'd like you to consider. When you look back over your shoulder, what do you want to be respected for? Now, that can be by those that you report to in the business, the senior leadership team above your level in the business. It can be your peers. It can be your team. It can be your family. It can be your friends. What do you want personally to feel respected for when you look back over your shoulder at the end of the year? What do you want to be respected for? What will you have achieved that will earn respect in the business, in your private life? It's really important to sit and think about these things, because if you're not aiming at it, you're not going to hit it. And if you don't set it as a destination, you won't get there. What do you want to be respected for? That's the first R in your statement of purpose. The second one's recognized. What do you want to be recognized for? We've got it down here as recognition. But what would you like to be recognized for at the highest level? By your peers, by those you report to, by your family, by your friends, because of the intention you're setting out this year to achieve, because of what you're going to deliberately do, the actions you're going to take, the effort you're going to invest in becoming the very best version of you. So what do you want to be respected for? And what do you want to be recognized for at the very highest level? And the next R is, what do you want to be rewarded with, or rewarded at which level for the effort you're going to put into the year? What level of reward do you want? Now, in the personal sense, it may just be an increase in your self-esteem, an increase in your pride, an increase in your feeling of discipline because you've stuck to it. In the wider sense of the business, it may be rewarded with promotion opportunities, may be rewarded in being invited into more strategic projects in the business, rewarded by praise and appreciation from your peers, or rewarded by thanks from your team. What do you want to be rewarded for as a result of the effort you've put in to achieving that respect and that recognition? Because, you know, Henry Ford said, you can't build a reputation on something you're going to do. You've got to take action. You've got to get the results, and you've got to be intentional about how you go about it, because, you know, you can't build a reputation on what you're going to do. So what are you going to be respected for? What do you want to be recognized for at the highest level? What do you want to be rewarded for? And finally, what responsibility are you going to take on a daily basis in order to take those actions, to set your day up with intention? You know, in the morning, I operate a process of gratitude. I go to bed at night. When I put my head on the pillow, I think about all of the great things that have happened in my day, the interactions I've had with my people, my team, my peers. And I think, you know, what's the number one thing that I feel grateful for that's come out of today? And when I fall asleep thinking of that, I'm creating tonic chemistry, pleasure chemistry in my brain and in my body. And my subconscious mind is enjoying that process for the next 8 hours. And I wake up in the morning, again, thinking about, what did I fall asleep grateful for yesterday? And therefore, I wonder what will come out of today. And therefore, what's my intention for today? I'm going to look for opportunities to create those situations in the interactions that I have with people. I'm going to take responsibility for making my interactions enjoyable, for having some fun, for giving some praise and some appreciation where it's deserved, by people that have done something for me or inspired me or done something to help me. I'm looking deliberately, and I'm taking responsibility for finding those situations, so that, guess what? At the end of my day, I've got something else to reflect on, to be grateful for, because I set out with intention. And so think about these 4 R's, make a note of them, apply them to yourself in a professional sense, apply them to yourself in a personal sense, and think about how you can start to bring them to life for you. You can apply them daily, you can apply them weekly, monthly, and you can reflect back on them on a daily basis and a weekly basis. Once a week on a Sunday afternoon, I think back over my week, and I think I've had 7 reasons why I've had a great week, because I've practiced gratitude 7 times. I pick the highlight. What's the number one thing that happened for me this week? And I just make a little note of it. And I go forward in the next month in the same way. And lo and behold, by the time I get to the end of the year, I've got 52 reasons why I've had 52 great weeks. And I've got 12 reasons why I've had 12 great months. And then I pick a highlight of the year. In a little space between Christmas and New Year, I think about the people I've met. I think about all of those things. And I take responsibility for just absolutely anchoring myself on the positivity. because there's enough negativity in our world, guys, and there's enough stresses and pressures we have to deal with. So we must absolutely focus our mind on results, on success, on gratitude, and on reflection. So those are the 4 R's that formulate the major part of striking a statement of purpose, if you like, in metal, in gold, whatever you want to set it. Put it on the board, put it on your screensaver. It doesn't matter. And I hope you forgive me, but I'll share with you my personal purpose of statement. So when I decided when I left the corporate game back in 2008, I left the corporate industry and set up as a self-employed leadership development coach, mentor. I didn't know what I stood for. And I remember a famous quote that said, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall. Sorry, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And so I had to take a bit of time to think about what my purpose was and what did I want to be recognized for. And I formulated a statement in 2 parts. I created a personal statement because almost overnight, I found myself being 100% accountable for me. I didn't have a boss. I became self-employed. I left a very highly paid corporate role where I had lots of responsibility, I had lots of direction, I had lots of focus, I had lots of support functions guiding and supporting me through that role. And all of a sudden, I lost all of that overnight, and it was all 100% down to me. And so I thought long and hard about what my future looked like and what was going to help me to progress at the start of that year, that very first year of being self-employed. And this is the statement I crafted then. It's probably a little bit wordy, but it still holds true today. And my purpose in this month is now to revisit my purpose statements, revisit my brand and my communication of my brand identity. And how do I now move to another level? So that's my purpose for this year. So my statement looks like this. I am in control of my destiny. So that's responsibility, isn't it? I'm taking full responsibility for being in control of where my life and my business goes. And therefore, I have to accept my choices will always have consequences. If I choose not to ask for help, then I'm leaving myself to my own devices. If I choose to ask for help, then I can have those resources available to me. So therefore, I accept that my choices will always have consequences and that I'm responsible for delivering excellence in all areas of my life. Because as a self-employed individual, that's it. I am my own resource, and I can be my own handbrake. If I chose not to ask for advice, not to seek help, not to invest in myself, not to go finding great people that can support me, then I'm literally limited to my own abilities. And so as a coach and as a mentor and as I evolved into being a therapist, which happened a number of years later, a clinically trained therapist, I started to think about what my statement might look like from a perspective of future prospective clients. And I crafted the following statement. I strive to be a trusted and valued source of wisdom, knowledge, inspiration, and results for those that are seeking one in times of change or in times of difficulty. That became my coaching, my mentoring, and my clinical therapy statement of purpose, if you like. And it still serves me today, but again, these are very wordy and they're now, due for a revamp and for me to look at how I condense them, but still stay aligned with my purpose, still stay aligned with my values. And if that helps you, then it's something you might want to consider, just crafting a small statement for you that reflects your identity and also the one that you're aspiring to be and to grow into. And that led me then to thinking about, okay, so how do I help other people understand what their purpose is or what your purpose is, for example? And what would be a good flag, if you like, to host or to hoist in front of you and to be able to look at consistently to keep your focus when times are difficult, to keep your focus when the stress is hitting, to keep your focus when things are not going your way. And for me, the way that it worked was back to that point of excellence. I was responsible for delivering excellence. So I encourage you to think about, if you want to be respected at the highest level, if you want to be recognized at the highest level, if you want to be rewarded at the highest level, and you're going to take responsibility for one thing: the pursuit of excellence. Deliver at the very highest level, hold that standard for yourself, and be that marker for everybody else. Because if you're holding yourself accountable for a level of excellence, you earn the right to hold other people accountable. And when we are leading large teams, I think excellence in delivery, excellence in our interactions and interrelations with other silos in the business, excellence in the way that we interact with our peers, excellence in the way that we interact with everybody we come into contact with, is the only way forward. Because if you want to be recognized for anything, be recognized for delivering the highest level of excellence in all of your interactions. And I like this quote from Vince Lombardi, which I latched onto in the early 80s. He was American football coach for Notre Dame University. And he said, the quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, regardless of their chosen field of endeavor. And so it really doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter where you're doing it. Excellence will shine. You could be a midwife and deliver excellence. You could be a road sweeper and deliver excellence. You could be, doing any adventure, any type of sport, any type of focused activity and deliver excellence, because that sits inside of you. And two lovely questions to ask yourself if you feel that you're a bit lost in that area, and I've mentioned these before, is what else is possible and how does it get better than this? And guys, ask your teams that. When you're looking at projects, when you're looking at the culture that you've created in your departments, get comfortable challenging those processes. Ask your team, how does our working environment get better than this? How does our relationships with each other get better than this? And what else is possible? If we can improve it at one step, where else can we improve it? Where else can we take it? Because that will always give you a focus of excellence. And I love that quality statement for those reasons. The quality of a person's life is in direct proportion to their commitment to excellence, irrespective of what they're doing. And that will start to engender, and it did engender for me, a sense of pride. I started to take pride in myself. I started to take pride in the fact that I had an intention for the day. And I'm going to share a story with you, actually, following on from one of our other great speakers, about how I learned this thing about pride and about delivering excellence. Back in 1985, when I joined the motor industry at the very lowest level, I was a car cleaner. I was working in a main Ford retail showroom in Aberdeen, and I was literally dusting the new cars in the showroom, cleaning the used cars that were on display, and doing some administration for the business. And I was invited by the managing director of the business to apply for and be considered for a new salesperson role. They had two dealerships in Aberdeen, both sides of the city, either side of the river. And in one of the dealerships, they were going to put all of the old salts, all of the salesmen that had been with the business for years and years. And by definition, because they were long in the tooth, they were using old, outdated methods of selling, which didn't sit with the values of the business, because they were a very religious business. And one of their number one values was, we treat our customers like members of our family. And so they wanted to set up a new sales team in the other dealership, and they were going to measure them off against each other. And this new sales team were going to be given the family values and the method, if you like, the process by which we would meet and greet customers and service them in their requirements to replace their car. And in the office where we all used to meet for a coffee in the morning before we went out onto the sales floor and to get onto the day of the business, they had a full-length mirror, a 6-foot mirror on the wall right next to the door. And you got a full view of yourself from toes to nose, of how you were showing up. And their measure of excellence was, do you look immaculate? Are your shoes cleaned, polished, and shiny? Is your suit, rumpled and crinkled because you look like you've slept in it? Or is it immaculately pressed and freshly dry cleaned? Is your shirt white? White shirts were the standard. Is your tie, knotted to the top and centered? Do you look professional? Do you look like somebody that would deliver excellence in the level of service? So it was asking us to check our appearance and to have pride in our appearance. And little did I know back in 1985 that pride was going to stand for an anagram that I would live the rest of my life by. Because when I thought about it and I tried to make sense of it, it fell into this category for me. Pride became a statement. And irrespective of what area of life you're in, you can take pride in your performance. And this little picture of a girl here who's a double amputee, is taking pride in her ability not to be defined by her injuries. She's taking pride in her ability still to have fun, still to take control. And pride stands for this: take personal responsibility in delivering excellence. No exceptions, no excuses, every day, without fault. So if you adopt that as part of your mantra, adopt that as part of your intentions at the start of each day, it gives you a pretty firm, robust framework to deliver excellence, because you don't accept excuses from yourself. And therefore, when it comes to standards in the business, we don't accept excuses for non-compliance in delivering a standard. Whatever that standard is you set for your team, whatever that standard is you set for yourself, if you're going to set the standard, take pride in maintaining it. And this really resonated with me, and it's stuck with me ever since. And wherever possible, that becomes my rallying flag that I aim at in every interaction. How can I take responsibility for delivering excellence in this next interaction? Because here's the thing: you can't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. And so you can get to the end of the year and look back over your shoulder and say, well, I didn't hit my goals, I didn't hit my metrics. But ultimately, if you take personal responsibility, there's nobody else to blame, because resilience is about overcoming whatever is thrown at you and still focusing on your goals, still moving forward, still taking those steps. Bearing in mind, what do you want to be recognized for at the highest level? What do you want to be respected for at the highest level? What do you want to be rewarded for at the highest level? And what responsibility are you going to take for moving forward? So it's formed a really good framework for me, and part of a process that has enabled me to succeed and achieve some of the goals that I wanted right through my career and right through my business. So I'll share it with you. Now, I know that in the noisy confusion of life, and I've shared this with you before, that we will find ourselves in one of these four categories at some time during our career. We'll be bored and apathetic, or not being stretched in our role. A lot of good people leave the business because they don't feel they're being stretched. They don't feel there's opportunity for them to progress, and they don't feel like they're moving forward. So they're not being utilized at the very highest level on the left-hand side of this scale. They're unfulfilled. Yeah. But likewise, we don't want people to be too stressed, and we don't want to feel tired and frustrated and out of control. And we certainly don't want to go beyond that into exhaustion, into burnout, and into collapse. So to be able to get the maximum benefit out of our year, we need to stay in this central section of being highly motivated, and our intention will motivate us. Motivation is an inside job. People often say to me, I wish I could motivate my team to be better. I say, it's impossible. You can't. Because if they don't have the internal drive to deliver excellence, then the only way you can do it is by penalty for not delivering excellence. So we need to inspire people to lift their game. We need to inspire people to have that intention of developing a sense of pride, their personal responsibility for delivering excellence. And then when they see that pathway exists for them and the opportunities there for them, we will become excited, they will become excited, and we get the benefit of all of this positive chemistry that sits around the psychology of being stretched, which is highly motivated in an area where we feel enthusiastic, where we're actively goal seeking, where we're problem solving because we've got the energy, and we're learning, we're achieving, and we're contributing, and we're feeling confident, competent, and in control. If you set your goal for the year and you feel confident and competent and you're in control, you're going to be highly energized. You're going to be highly excited. So just a little reminder, I know I've shared this with you before, but this is where we stay when we're highly motivated. And so what's your vision for the year? What's your vision for you? What would you like to be recognized for at the highest level? What would you like to be rewarded for? And how do they sit inside of your 3 Ps? So the first P is your purpose. That becomes your brand communication. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. And this is what I want to be respected for. Yeah. And that is then supported by, sorry, the next P, which is your passion. Now, passion is a heavily overused word, and a lot of people get it all confused with enthusiasm and excitement. It's not. Here's my definition of passion for you, and feel free to write this down and adopt it for yourself and share it with everyone. Passion is a tough, optimistic enthusiasm that overcomes negativity and it overcomes inconvenience. Now, that negativity can be your self-doubt. It can be other people's doubt in your ability. It can be your sense of inconvenience at having to develop discipline, or it can be the inconvenience of having to navigate in an area where you're needing to force your agenda. It doesn't really matter because it's a tough, optimistic enthusiasm, okay, aligned with your purpose that overcomes negativity, overcomes inconvenience, and will absolutely empower you to succeed. And here's the exciting thing. Standing where you are now, looking at the landscape that extends in front of you towards the end of the year, passion is born in the instant you catch sight of your potential. If you can just crystallize those 4 Rs and project them to the end of December and have that as your potential, then working back from it, your passion will empower you to achieve it in line with a strong purpose statement. So purpose and passion will help you to achieve your potential. But here's the thing, you can't do that without developing persistence. And if we think about persistence, some people say it's mental toughness. Some people say it's dogged determination. Some people say it's just, nose to the grindstone, non-stop. But that doesn't really help as much. We need to get absolute crystal clear clarity on what persistence is and what it looks like. And, some of you will know where I'm going with this, but we've had some great speakers throughout the year. And one of them really stands and always has stood head and shoulders above everyone else for me when it comes to persistence. And there's a very famous quote that was delivered by, I think it was Calvin Coolidge. I'm not sure if I think he was either 33rd or 35th president of the United States. And he said this about persistence. He said, "Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful people with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. People that think they should be getting rewards because of their intelligence level, but they don't do anything to deliver. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. That means omnipotent, all empowering. And that determination comes from going back to your purpose. What do you want to be known for? What do you want to be recognized for? What do you want to be rewarded for? What responsibility are you going to take? That becomes your determination and part of your persistence. And it won't surprise you to know the person that embodies that whole thing for me is one of our speakers, Colonel Andy Reid. Andy's story is renowned. We know the story. We've had his book, and if you're new to the association today, if you're new to the Curious Mindset, then we can direct you to where you can find that information. But Andy was the first triple amputee to climb Kilimanjaro, the first, the tallest freestanding mountain on the planet, and set a new world record for it as well. But his statement that I kind of learned from him when I met him back in 2011 was this. The most important thing is don't look back on what's happened. Instead, look forward at what you can do and just crack on. And that for me embodies, his personal statement of purpose, his personal statement of persistence. It's not about moaning about what happened or what didn't happen or who should have done something and who didn't do something. It's about taking 100% responsibility for delivering excellence, pride in delivering excellence. No exceptions, no excuses, every single day. Yeah, use that as your mantra and set forward with the intention of achieving your goals and objectives. So we've got purpose plus your passion, and this is a good equation. Purpose plus passion multiplied by the level of persistence you apply to that purpose will equal your success. It's the only way you can succeed. It's okay having an intention, but when you hit the first hurdle, if you're not persistent, you're not going to achieve it. So you need all three parts in play. You've got to be purposeful, you've got to have passion, and you've got to develop that persistence. And remember, passion is that tough, optimistic enthusiasm that overcomes inconvenience, overcomes negativity, and empowers you to succeed. And that's exactly what Andy Reid demonstrated for me. So when we think about the framework, you've got your vision of what you want to achieve in the year. It becomes your communication piece. It's what you're known for. And your 3 Ps are what are going to help you to achieve that. But that will then be underpinned by your strategy. How am I going to do it? If it's in your business role, in your career, in the way you manage your team, then what is your strategy? How are you going to develop that? And I've shared my definition of strategy before, and I'm going to share it again with you today, because here's the phrase: repetition is the mother of retention. The more you say these things to yourself, the more it embeds itself in your subconscious mind as a direct program that operates your brain and operates your body. In programming, in clinical hypnotherapy, we're actually unprogramming errors in the thought process. We're unprogramming negative self-talk. We're unprogramming and reprogramming the subconscious mind with new instructions. And that forms your strategy. And so here's the definition of strategy. Strategy is the art of planning and then directing your resources at the goals and objectives that will achieve your vision. So whatever your vision for yourself is at the end of 2025, planning how you're going to get there on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis with your team, and then looking at what resources are available to us in order to achieve that, and then directing those resources at the goals and objectives that will achieve your vision. And there are many ways you can look at it, but the main thing is this: if you don't look at it and there is not crystal clear clarity on how you're going to do it, then all that's going to happen is procrastination. There's a wonderful book out there by Chip and Dan Heath. Now, it's primarily a marketing book. It's about the art of marketing. But one of the phrases that really resonated with me was this: whenever there is lack of clarity, there will always be resistance. And in a clinical sense, our brain's primary directive is safety and security. And whenever there is a lack of clarity on whether this is going to be safe or whether I'm going to feel comfortable, I'll be resistant to move forward. So we need to make that pathway crystal clear, because without that, it leads to procrastination. We'll keep putting it off because we can't see the pathway with enough clarity. So when you have your vision clearly defined and you understand your purpose statement and you have your 3 Ps aligned and you have that opportunity to develop your strategy, your plan of action will follow on, your goals and objectives will be achieved. You might look at your own personal needs as far as trainings need or development or personal development needs, which would be then the thing that drives your motivation. Understanding that you're resourced, understanding that you have a goal, you have a vision, you have a plan of action, and you have goals and objectives that are broken down, and you understand what your personal development areas are, it will make you highly motivated to achieve your goal. And if that's aligned with your personal values, because you won't really succeed against your values, then you've got a much bigger framework. So let's just very quickly touch on values, because they're going to be the operating guideline that you're going to work through. Yeah. So here's what personal values are. They're a guiding principle through which you're going to choose to live your life. And I'm sure you've all got them. If I ask you your values, most people will say to me, honesty, integrity, and then there'll be a number of others that they work with. But think about your values. Think about how strong they are. Think about what you need to strengthen to help you get to those results. Think about what you might need to develop You need to grow into the version of you that is going to be there. Because by definition, guys, if you've never achieved these goals before, you're going to have to change. You're going to have to grow. You're going to have to develop. Otherwise, the goals are easily achievable, and they shouldn't be. They should be stretching. They should move you forward in an area that you've never grown into before. They should be hairy. They should be scary. They should be big enough to really inspire you. Yeah. And your values are the way that you get through that. So basically, values stand at the core of every human decision-making process. When we work in a culture which aligns with our personal values, we feel liberated. We are able to bring our full selves to work, and we bring our energy and our creativity and our enthusiasm through our values. We also bring our commitment to the well-being of our colleagues, our associates, and our clients, and we develop that success of those relationships. So if you want to be famous for something, be famous for being known for a person of value and a person of integrity. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it, or don't say it. Okay. Don't align yourself with a purpose that you don't feel you can stick with. Because if you're going to talk it into existence, you've got to live it. So be careful of the brand that you create for yourself. So again, it's about honesty, it's about integrity, but there are, we can do a whole piece on values later in the year if it's something that you're interested in. Let us know. And so the framework kind of looks like that. Once you've got that in place and you're aligned with your values, you'll be achieving your aspirations. You'll be highly aligned with your vision. You'll deliver your potential because your values will be in play at all times. You'll become highly engaged and positively empowered. And so these are the two aspects that help us to achieve it: high motivation and delivering that potential. And here's the thing about your potential: it's always sitting on the horizon waiting for you to make the next step towards it. And guess what? It moves further away from you and it says, come on, you've took the first step. There's more. Keep moving forward. And that's how you grow. It gives you traction much quicker through the center area, which only means that you achieve your vision online with your deadline. Okay, nothing will stop you. It doesn't matter what happens in the economy. You'll drive your business forward. You'll find a solution. You'll find objectives that you can latch onto, which will take you through the obstacles. In your personal life, nothing will stop you achieving what you want to achieve. So guys, in a nutshell, that's the process. That's the principle. But it's all absolutely driven by the 3 Ps: your purpose, your passion, and your persistence. Everything else stems from that. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and I'd like to hand over to Steve. If there's any questions, Steve, that are coming through, I'd like to answer those for you now.
Thank you, Andy. What an interesting opening session of the Curious Mindset this year. Thank you for all of that. Lots and lots resonated with me. Before I offer my thoughts on that, I'm just going to invite the audience to use either the usual meeting chat for any questions that you might have for Andy in the next section, or if you wanted to use the new Q&A section that we've got opened up in Zoom, please feel free to use that as well. We'll be monitoring both of those. Okay, Andy, I've got a question, but if I may, I might just start with a little story actually that kind of popped out this week for me in my job, that feels like it kind of unpacks the point around gratitude and positivity quite well. It was, I don't know if this will resonate with some of the audience, but I was in a post-incident review meeting. Okay, so it's quite a common thing in IT. When something goes wrong, what usually happens is we'll have to get together after the incident once everything's recovered, and then sort of discuss what went wrong and how do we avoid it in the future. And it's very typically quite a negative, difficult conversation for people, and we end up just getting through it, and we then get back to our day jobs. And in this session, I invited everyone to first of all start with what went right, even during this negative incident. And one of the guys, quite a technically detailed guy, he said, "Steve, it's hard not to look at this in a negative, other than a negative way, because we made a mistake. It was something. It was in a project, and we got some information wrong, which led to some downstream failures." But then I offered thought of saying, well, how do we identify that it was wrong? How do we spot it? And what are the successes around that? How did we manage to kind of mitigate the impact of it in a positive way? And as the session went on, this guy in particular started to kind of identify things that actually were points of confidence for the team. And at the end, he said to me, "Steve, is this like a just one of sort of your things, or is this like a standard framework in IT?" I wasn't sure where I got it from actually. It was something that developed over time, but as you were talking about, being being grateful for things in the day, always being focused on positives, it just felt like it was a story that popped out. And I think looking back on it, it's going to lead to more positive kind of confidence building in the team as time goes on. So I thought I wanted to share that before we get into it. Um, Andy, my question for you is around your personal statement. There were two parts. You've got a personal part and a professional part. And the words, if I can remember, it read, "I am" was the kind of the starting point for your personal part, and the second part was, "I strive to be," which is kind of forward looking. Is that
Mm.
how they should be? Should they be sort of both parts in a personal statement?
I think so. You have to be very careful about the words you say after the words "I am," because they're either going to be limiting or they're going to be empowering. I am useless at, I am rubbish at, I am hating doing are all disempowering words. The subconscious mind is always listening to the words that you say about what you believe to be true about you and the vision or the image that you hold in your mind about you. And just like the magic genie in the film Aladdin, it's just basically trying to make those things come true. If you say I'm rubbish, okay, I'll show you lots of evidence why you're rubbish. Okay, so I think it has to be a really positive statement. I am followed by positivity. And I strive is also positive, isn't it? Because it's a positive engagement of energy in a direction I'm going to go. And that's my intention. So when I say I strive to be, a valued source of inspiration, that's exactly what I do. When somebody comes to me with challenges, I'm not sucking my thumb with sympathy. I'm looking at, okay, well, how do we turn this around? How do we make this inspirational? What are the positives? And I think, Steve, that's a great point you alluded to, which came out of Lisa Davies' process of when we're working with our teams is, first of all, let's celebrate the successes. Look, I know it didn't go to plan. We didn't get the result, but what do we do well, right? Let's capture all the positives. What do we do well? And then the next question is, what did we find challenging, difficult, or tricky? And then we debrief that bit. And then, okay, so based upon what we've learned about what we did well and what we found challenging, difficult, or tricky, if we had to do it again, what would we do differently? And that's how we learn. Yeah. So I think well captured. I think you captured that really well. And it's just reminded me of exactly what Lisa shared with us.
Yeah, thanks, Andy. Well, that's great. Great for your insights. Thank you. I'm going to give that a try, setting a personal statement. It's going to be a fun exercise, but I imagine it's going to take some time and some iterations. But yeah, looking forward to sharing that with you. Thank
Well,
you.
look, use mine as a template and just evolve it for you.
We'll do. We'll do. There's nothing like plagiarism, is there? Especially when you get permission to do it. Thank
You're
you.
very welcome, guys. Anything I've shared with you, feel free to use it.
Brilliant
In fact, I
stuff.
insist, use it.